Welcome to Magical Aspirations, a podcast for magical people, where we aspire to gather all of the knowledge magic has to offer, a place to illuminate and demystify all things magical. Hello, my most magical people. Annalisa here. Got to my co-hosts here with me. We got Reverend Raven. Go ahead and give me a caw. And then we've also got Adriana here as well. Hello, my ladies. Guys, it has been so long since we've been able just to have a little chat with just the three of us. Our season finale was the last time the three of us got to talk. It's been a whirlwind of however 2-3 months, however long that's been now. I'm going to start us out with a little intention. We're going to just have a fun little conversation, catching up, calling our breath back to magical aspirations because we all certainly need a breather. So we'll take a moment, ask all of our spirit guides, angels, and honorable ancestors to form a circle of protection, love, and comfortability around us. May we speak from our hearts and connect in our souls to have a fun, imagination, and magic-filled conversation. What you got, ladies? What do we want to talk about first?
Well, what have we been up to?
We've been busy. I know Reverend Raven has probably been the busiest out of all of us.
Yes.
She had Pagan Pride going. There was a Pagan Information Day. Reverend Raven, what you been up to, girl?
Yeah, a lot of things going on in the community, and just grateful to be able to connect practitioners and just magical folks in general with each other. It's been really cool. So like you said, we had Greater New Orleans Pagan Pride at Cluette Gardens at the beginning of October. That was great. A lot of new faces and ones that we hadn't seen for a while just coming together. Some great entertainment. Speakers were amazing. It really just was a magical day. And if you guys are local to New Orleans, I really encourage you to check out Cluette Gardens. It's an open space. You can go into it anytime for free. They have little events there occasionally, but it's just a truly magical space that you can just go into and relax and enjoy nature. Listen to an out of tune church bell. A lot of cool witchy things. So really love that venue. And last weekend, actually, we participated in the first annual Greater Baton Rouge Information Day, Pagan Information Day. And that took place at the Unitarian Universalist Church up there. It was the first one that they had like that. And they're actually considering opening what's called a CUPS chapter. So that's a covenant of Universal Unitarian Pagans. And so I don't know about y'all, but a lot of pagan practitioners that grew up in the church. I think we have a couple ex-church goers here, huh?
Just a couple, at least.
Yeah,
definitely that.
Yeah. And so a lot of pagans that grew up in the church really kind of miss that family environment of being with a congregation. And for those of you who don't know, Universalist Church, their belief point is basically one of love. You don't have to believe in a higher power or deity. They're an open space. Most Unitarian churches have programs within the community to help LGBTQ causes, Black Lives Matter. I know they had a couple of flags up for that. Just a very open and accepting and progressive type of a location. So like I said, a lot of pagans do kind of feel comfortable in that kind of an environment. And so we were really grateful to be welcomed into their church home as different types of pagan practitioners. So there were a couple Wiccan covens present. Our group was Stonewolf Clan, so a heathen kindred, the Druid group. And it was really nice just to be able to meet, like I said, different kinds of practitioners and being in an area where they weren't used to being able to get together with others. That always really sparks my fire whenever I'm involved in those kind of things. It brings me back to my roots of being a baby pagan in a very conservative area and not knowing anyone like me. So it was just really empowering to be able to be involved and be a spoke switch.
That
I love that.
I love that so much because that makes me think of, so I wasn't able to chat with Miss K last week, but I really think I love when things happen for a reason. So my internet was tweaking out and it was just not meant to be that I was supposed to participate in that conversation. And I truly believe it's because I was supposed to be listening to that conversation and not running my mouth. And I was really touched by the moment that she took to kind of give us credit for normalizing spiritual people. And we all know, we've said it many times, that our goal here is to stay true to your magic. But I hadn't realized how like defensive I had been about it. That like it was kind of like, this is who we are, and I'm gonna shove it in your face and kind of have no. But when she said that, I had to pause. I was editing it and I kind of just had to stop and pause and think about that we can just be normal about it. Like this is just who we are. And I really appreciate, Becky, you guys being able to be in a space where like that's something that's weird, I guess, kind of, but it's being normalized. And like that's just really that's really touching. Like, so I'm very glad that you also got to participate in something like that, because that is, I now realize, our mission here also.
Very much so. Full circle moment. Circle moment.
Definitely. Adriana, what you've had going on, girl?
Well, I have been just really switching hats, I guess. I'm very much a seasonal witch kind of girl. So moving into the fall is always my favorite. I just get a rush of energy. So I am excited to connect with people, but also just like study things. And so I've been spending a lot of time trying to, like, I guess on the logistical side, plan out closing down Ink to Prosperity for the wintertime. And kind of like, this is going to be the first year that I actually get to take the fucking month of December off. And so that preparation, is huge, because I'm so used to just saying like, yeah, I'll do that for you. Yeah, sure. I got your reading or whatever. But now I have firm boundaries of like, no, I can't. And so preparing for that, as on the business side, has been really interesting. And then on the spiritual things, I've also been connecting with my ancestors a lot more deeply, and really trying to understand this new, like, I'm not a baby witch, but I'm not an expert witch. So that getting used to that, it's been really exciting, but also it's like it requires this different level of confidence too, that I am adjusting to. Like I know what I'm talking about. I also know the things that I don't know. And so that has been really good for me to kind of navigate that perfectionism and imposter syndrome. So there's that. My family has had a lot of stuff going on, so I've been being the big sister, being the daughter, and doing the things with that. And then work has been so good. So I have really enjoyed my new contract with the organization that I'm working with. And I just had my 3-month review yesterday.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I, like, leading up to it, knowing I was going to have my 3-month, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to cry and this is going to be awful. But my manager actually allowed me to read the feedback prior to our meeting. And that changed my world, because what I get to see and know what's going to be said before, like, just coming into this blindly, and it was just like, so it was a breath of fresh air, and I felt seen and appreciated, and it wasn't like a, oh, you're doing terrible, but it was more so just celebrating the work that I've done, and then asking me, what do I want to see next, instead of her just like giving,
Mm,
you need to do X, Y, and Z, you know?
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Awesome.
yeah, I'm trying to get my shit together. That's basically it.
That I echo that 100,000%. It's been a big for me the keeping the mental health steady and stable, because I've definitely, especially as I've gotten into the decade of 30, I've really noticed that like the sun setting at fucking 4 p.m. is disruptive to me.
Mm.
So I've been trying to like work with like some of like the seasonal kind of affective stuff, and like
Mm.
go into therapy and like talking to people, really just trying to get out of my head sometimes, because I spend a lot of time there and I am a liar sometimes to myself.
Mhm.
But it's a good thing to kind of talk. We were chatting before we started recording that, like I said, our last chat was for the season finale, and like this is such a, so there's this wonderful deck of cards that a lady I know wrote. It's the Ink to Prosperity Lawyers to Self cards. But a
I was like,
card
who's
that I
this
can,
lady?
yeah, oh, who's this lady? Let me write it down. It's you, girl. It's you. But the card that I keep pulling up is the one about platonic intimacy. That platonic intimacy will change your life. And like I think that that's such a thing. I was chatting with my therapist about this last week, about how that's such a thing that is very easily overlooked. Obviously, we are in a society that focuses so much on, romantic love, but even like familial love. Like there's the love between siblings and the love between parents. But like this is a hugely platonic, intimate setting. We pull up our vulnerability pants as high as they can go. We're not looking at each other, we're only talking to each other. So like I appreciate this connection that we get to have, because like it's important to me. And like there are some other, I was same thing chatting with my therapist about, so like I'm a vet tech, I've mentioned that many times, like the doctor relationship that I have with the doctor that I work with. Like there's a lot of trust, because I trust that she's going to guide me, and she trusts that I'm not going to let her get hurt. And there's a lot of like nonverbal communication there. And so like it's been a big season of learning a lot of that like looking for like some of the different connections, rather than, I've mentioned many times, I have my wonderful husband and he's amazing and wonderful, but relationships such as these and that are extremely important.
For sure.
I
Yeah,
agree.
some of the closest people that I have to me, I call them, my chosen family.
Yeah.
And y'all are definitely included in that.
Y'all
Agreed.
are definitely including in that.
Mhm.
What I wrote something down earlier about like imagination and fun. I feel like I randomly sent you guys a text message maybe a month or two ago about like, I want to talk about imagination and magic. What does that make y'all feel initially? Like imagination and magic. I have a point. We'll get there, but I'm just curious.
They're the same thing to me.
Dope.
Yep. Yep, that's the first thing.
Rev.
Um, if you can imagine it, it can be done.
Mhm.
Dope.
But when you
Okay.
said imagination, my brain definitely went to like animation
Mm.
for
Oh,
some reason.
interesting.
So I was like picturing drawings of the things.
Ooh,
I don't
I
know why
like
my
it.
brain went there, because I'm not normally that kind of a person. I guess visually kind of person. I don't know.
So that I'm so glad. Are you psychic? I'm pretty sure that's what my point was. It was really that. So I was listening to another podcast and they were talking about the moments that you can feel magic happening, right?
Mhm.
And one of those is I find those moments where like my imagination's like really going. And I find myself saying these things. Oh, I can't see very well. Oh, I can't hear very well. I can't speak clearly. And those things I feel like directly are like the clairs that should probably be addressed, because when you start to, I'm a writer by nature, and so I'm very descriptive, but I've never paid attention to how vivid the pictures are in my head. So I've been trying to like take that down a route of like the psychic version. So like I've never thought of myself as a particularly like clairvoyant person, but maybe I am. Maybe I've just been like choosing to not see what's happening in my imagination as magic, right? And since I have made that realization, my dreams have been off the chain. Like they have been wild and intense. And so coming out of the Samhain season, it tends to have kind of a serious tone to it sometimes. I wanted to, what do y'all do to incorporate fun into your magical practices?
I like to sing.
I
I
love
like to
that one.
make up songs, whenever I'm like doing something, practicing magic, and I'll like pick some words and then I'm like make it into a song, and then I, repeat it. And I really like to sing loud whenever people are watching, when I know I'm not very good. Like I had my headphones in today and I was going for a walk and it was like, oh, I know what song it was. Am I ready? I had the headphones in and there's a dude like driving by in his car and slowed down and stuff, and I'm like just loud, about it. So yeah, I think that that's fun because if you're like removing that expectation from yourself that you like have to be good to do something. And this bounces off of what Adriana said earlier about like being a perfectionist. If you are always like a perfectionist and your magical practice, like you're not going to do magic, you're not going to perform magic that much because you're going to like pigeonhole yourself. You'll be like, oh, I don't have this whole ritual written out, or maybe I'm saying this wrong, or whatever. You're bringing doubts into your magic. And when you can have fun with it, you can open up that energy and allow it to be.
I love that. That was so well said.
I really, really, yes. Thank you. That's wonderful. Because, like, it's this. Oh, and now I've gone and lost my whole train of thought because now I'm thinking about imagination and silliness and all of.
Not being afraid to be wrong, I think,
Yes,
is
it's
part
huge.
of that. And that again kind of goes back to what you're saying with like the imposter syndrome and things like that. As you become a more experienced practitioner, you're still kind of doubting yourself and you're holding yourself back from your doubts. But if you are not like, you're not afraid to like maybe get it wrong, then you're going to allow yourself to do so many more things and have different experiences, maybe connect with different spirits or deities than you would have had the opportunity if you're like holding yourself back because you don't know how to pronounce this city in Egypt that you've never been to.
Good point.
Yeah.
But that also
That's
means
true.
a sense of responsibility as well, because if I make a mistake and it hurts someone, like maybe I say something that's offensive to someone's spiritual practice out of just ignorance because I didn't know, then that means that I also have to be accountable and take responsibility for my mistake too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I can apologize and tell them, that I'm sorry I wasn't aware of that and I will do more research in the future. So it's not an excuse. You're still taking responsibility for your mistakes, but allowing yourself to make mistakes, I think, is a big part of being a magical practitioner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's so easy to shy away from that as well, because the content that's put out is all about like, don't do that spell if you don't know what you're doing. Don't do that spell if you don't know what you're doing. And it's like, well, how the F am I going to learn how to do it if I don't try and learn and research? And granted, take your time. Don't be silly out here, stuff like that.
Right.
But you do have to be okay with making mistakes. And then also, I think another piece of that is being able to have people that you can connect with also really changed my own practice for sure,
Mhm.
because I have people who have either been there, done that, or they're doing the same thing as me. And when we talk and share things, it's the learning that happens is just so fluid and natural. And so being able to connect with other people is just life-changing and super helpful, and it pushes your imagination as well, because hearing how somebody else thinks and feels and experiences things is just like, what? I didn't even know you could access that part, and then it just
Yeah.
opens you up too to new things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really, I have found myself a couple of times like getting bogged down in like, oh, maybe this is silly, like us doing the podcast. Cause like when you really look at the thick of it, it is a hugely saturated market. Like while we are still on the fringes, I guess, of society, like if you go look on Instagram and type like witch or magic, there's going to be
Mhm.
so much stuff that pops up. But, and like, then you hear people saying, I don't know what I was listening to, but the only thing that my brain took away from it was, oh, great. Now everybody can do a podcast so we can listen to someone read some bullshit off Wikipedia. And like, that really got me down for a few days because I was like, well, I mean, what if this is just bullshit? Like, what if I am just reading off? And then there, like, I finally like came around full circle and remembered that like, it's all about that. There are 80 to 100 different podcasts that I've probably clicked on at least once. There are some of them that I have only listened to one time, but like there are those ones that have stuck, and some of them were not the ones I was thinking. And we're doing it for the cause, not the applause. We're just trying to get people to feel normal in whatever their spiritual practices are. And so I just keep always reminding myself of that too. Y'all have mentioned imposter syndrome a couple times, and like that is something that just sneaks up on you.
Absolutely. And I was having a conversation earlier today about even if there are a million pens out there, there's still not a pen that you created, that pen that has your ink, that has your feel, your shape to it. So the most important and exciting thing about this podcast is fucking us.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
It's us at the end of the day, and what we bring in our own je ne sais quoi,
Ooh, yes, Moshe, I love that. Oh my God. Have y'all seen lately, sweet Sean Michael Rutherford's been posting their wonderful Marie Clotilde Popin. She's talking about all kind of stuff out there in her little sweet Cajun accent.
I can't.
Oh
If
my
y'all had to pick
God.
a favorite guest that we've
Oh my
had so far,
God.
who would
Oh.
it be?
You trying to get us in trouble.
Yeah, girl.
Well, I guess more whose messages were the most like intense so far, because for me it's got to be Captolia. That conversation was like mind blowing. I have so many pages of notes from it. Like that was dope. That was
So
a
you know
dope-ass
what happened to me?
conversation.
The exact thing that you were talking about earlier with Kay. I feel like I wasn't in the conversation because I needed to fucking hear it.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to it until a week later because I was sick and feeling bogged down and all of that. And I listened to it 3 times this week. And I sent it to my business partners with Monty Soul and was like, this right here, this is why we do what we're doing.
Yes.
To give
Absolutely.
others permission to be who they are. Because that was the thing she said that hit me, like, that chord. That like she's doing what she does in her business because there's one person that she makes feel like they're normal and that they're valid and that they can be heard and what they can do. And the biggest compliment for her is to have a client that outgrows her.
Yes.
Those were the 2 things that she said that I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. That was a really good conversation. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't re-listened to it yet. I think I was heavily in the conversation and I haven't yet got to the point to where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to re-listen.
Mhm.
I really valued y'all's conversation that you had. Oh shoot, who did y'all talk to? Our medium friend
Sean.
Sean. Yeah. Sean.
Yes.
Jesus.
The wonderful Sean.
Yeah, that conversations, I was driving that day. And I was in DC at that time, and I was listening. I was just like, yes, that right there. Nobody else gets that except them. Yes. And it just made me feel so seen and so just like it resonated a lot with me. And then I also had re-listened to our conversation we had with okay, names are not my thing tonight. When we were talking about sustainability in our magic.
When
The
was
gentleman, this was first season.
Oh.
I think this was what connected to you, Becky.
Was it
He-
Bart? When
Bart.
we were
Oh,
talking
was it
about
Bart?
Earth magic?
Yeah.
The Earth. Yeah.
It was Bart. Yeah. That was a really good conversation. And I feel like we could go back into that topic and just like dig for hours. And I loved how genuine and just easygoing he was, but still very stern in like where he stood. And that, I like that.
That was also the episode that Annalisa learned she was a swamp witch.
Yes,
That's right. That is. I am.
I remember
It
that.
hasn't been as swampy where I live this year, but that's okay. It's been learning a whole new different type of plant magic. So
Right.
RIP to the plants that have died in the process.
all right,
Because it'd be like that sometimes.
I really loved our conversation last week.
Isn't Miss K just like a god
Yes.
fucking sent angel?
I love her so much.
She was just like, you know what? I'm resting and you should too.
Yeah. When she was talking about how
I
like
love
she tells
it.
her family, like, I'm off for the day. If you got a
Yes.
problem, figure it out your damn self. I was like,
Yes.
wow.
Yes.
life changing.
Permission to rest. And I was like, "Ah." Like I said, I was really sick that week and I called into work for the first time in literal years. And I was like, what? I feel so rewarded. Like I am taking care of myself. Like I'm
What is
putting
this feeling?
myself over others.
Yeah.
And that it seemed like her, you know, and what her conversation, what she had to say is that that's what you have to do, you know? Take care of yourself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And I don't know how many times I need to fucking hear that, but apparently at least one more time.
At least a lot. So the phrase that stuck for me this week was tend your personal flame. I was like, ooh, I like that. We're gonna run with that for the week. I really like that. The thing that I appreciated the most about that wonderful conversation with Miss K was the evolution. So I first encountered Miss K and our wonderful guest that we had before, Lavandia, in Adriana's soul support group. And both of those ladies, like that was, you kicked me out of soul support about a year ago. And it was just so cool she has this new beautiful like chillness in her voice that I can say was not there before. Like Miss K, if you're listening, like snaps for you, girl. Yes.
Absolutely. It's strong and it sounds rested. That's what it sounds like.
It does sound rested. It does sound rested. And that makes me want to comment on all of our evolution. Like we were not the same people that we were with the last time we had a chat in August. And we certainly are not the same people that we were when we started this podcast 100%. A year ago. Do you remember a year ago when we were like, ooh, what's a podcast?
What is that? How do you even do that thing?
Right.
And now, like, I have come across a couple of different, like, remote podcasts, like, producer jobs. And I'm like,
Do
I
it.
could do that.
Do
I
it.
could do that. Like, I didn't go to school, but here's my shining example. Like,
Exactly. I have like shared the podcast with some folks, and they have also commented on the fact of how different yet the same we sound from the first episode to our more
Yeah.
recent episodes.
yeah.
And they're like, y'all have developed this level of confidence, or they'll talk about how we're much more open to talk about just, like whatever, especially when it comes to ourselves. And I'm like, thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, we love feedback. Yeah. Guys,
Yeah.
it makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. Because like it is just such a testament to like if you have a push to do something, as we've said many times, for the love of God, just also do it.
Please.
But that also makes me think of that. We've talked about wanting to talk about like signs from the universe and stuff like that. So I do want to note the conversation that I missed out on with Miss K. And I feel like we've each kind of missed out on a conversation, but probably like that's a testament to sometimes like it's all good to like push through, but sometimes the answer is no. And like sometimes something good comes from that, right? Like I was bummed. I kept clicking and trying with that Miss K interview. I was like, I'm gonna fucking get in there. Like, even if I'm just quiet. And the internet was like, no, we're not doing this
Absolutely
today.
not.
So I was just like, okay. And I'm so glad I did. Like, I gained so much knowledge and goodness from that conversation that I don't think I would have gotten if I had been there.
I love that. So, signs from the universe?
Yeah, remember we were texting about that a little whiles back, and let's talk about it because I feel like the signs from the universe have been potent,
Loud.
Oh, very much so.
Loud.
Screaming, yelling, absolutely.
Screaming, yelling all the time.
All the time. I think when I got sick, Becky, it's so wild that we were sick at the same time.
Yeah.
And I had just been going. And then I got sick, and universe said, sit down.
Sit your ass down, girl.
Down. Stop. It's okay. You can stop, and like things are gonna be okay. So that was such a humbling moment. Like, okay, I know I don't have a forever battery, but damn.
But I wanted to go a little further, damn it.
I know.
I really wanted to make it to Friday.
I did. I actually did.
But it was fucking Wednesday.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Feels.
Did you guys, before y'all both got sick, what signs were y'all getting that it was time to take a break? Like, I have to imagine two intuitive ladies like yourself knew the signals for stop were coming way ahead of when it actually stopped.
I tried to listen to them, but I just, I was like, I can't stop yet. There's this, and this I gotta do.
Yeah.
That's what happened. I said, I hear you, but
also.
Yeah. Same here. I kept having these dreams of chaos. And I was like, oh, it must be about the world. Okay, gotcha.
Yes, because the world is a dumpster fire.
I'm like, all right, sure. And then there were a few days before where I was just, or it was a week before, everything made me angry. Everything. I don't care if it was something that was going correct. I was just like, I'm mad about it. And that should have been my sign to chill the fuck out because you're on edge, but no. No. And then lastly, I watch the birds and everything because birds have a lot to say. They are very intuitive. And I believe either the day or 2 days before, there was a crow that was just like, what are you doing? what you doing? What you doing? You doing a lot? And was just like squawking at me consistently. I'm like, I'm just sitting here. What do you want? And just squawking, and then just flew away. And I was
Sorry.
like, okay. Okay. Well, I don't know what that was all about. And then in retrospect, I'm like, yeah, that was a lot of signs to 911. It was a 911. And I completely just didn't see it.
But I want to say that once I was getting sick, I found it empowering for the first time to be taking care of myself. I got sick because I wasn't taking care of myself.
Yeah.
And then I was taking care of myself and I got better.
Yeah.
So I was like going through all the herbs and making the special tea, and I had an immunity blend with all of these different really cool things, and going through other teas that I had and different herbs, and the elderberry syrup that Jackie made from our elderberries here in my yard, and putting a lot of intention and magic into getting better, taking my vitamins and eating some satsumas to get some extra vitamin C and doing things to boost my immune system. I went outside and put a blanket on the ground and laid out in the sun while I was
Yes.
running a fever. But so I could only stand it for like 15 minutes. But I went outside with my dog and I laid on a blanket in the grass in the sun.
But that probably helped so much.
Just like sweat it out. But
yeah,
that the fact that I was taking care of myself felt really empowering.
I agree. I love my mornings time. What? Okay, words. I love my morning times, and had realized that I was sacrificing my mornings to do some type of work, make a call to somebody, just do something other than what I feel is sacred. And during that sick time, I realized, like, damn, I haven't done my morning prayer in so long. And being able to take that time and just do it, because I don't have anything else to do.
Right.
And just do my prayer and be slow about getting up and spending time with the dogs and things like that. And it made me realize, like, I gotta stop sacrificing my mornings like this. I have to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you on that, Becky. That empowerment to just take care of me was, I needed that reminder.
Yeah, definitely. I was chatting with a friend last week. She's one of my dearest friends and a teacher of mine as well, about that. When stuff like that starts happening, it's time to like change up all of your practices. There are so many of my magical practices that I've started doing on autopilot, and that is something that like I shift into autopilot so easily sometimes because I spend a lot of time in imagination land in my head. And so I got myself a fancy little planner, and like not in a like breaking down my day into like a to-do list. I have struggled with trying to journal lately, and this has been a good way of like jotting down, like I rewrote down like all of my daily like Reiki precepts, and like Miss K said something about faith and self-care for being the foundation. Trying to use it as more of like a log of my magical and muggle life. Like it's covered in these cute little cat tarot card stickers and things like that. I've been trying to be more intentional about like my crystals in the morning that I'm taking to work with me, rather than just like schlepping a few into my pocket, because they're the ones that like I always take with me. Like I changed up I had been wearing this labradorite pendant for a very, very long time. And I switched it out during the eclipse. I switched it out to this moonstone that I have. And so that has been, it's been good to reconnect with a daily crystal in that sense, because the vibe is definitely different. It's
Mm.
moonstone. It's this big, beautiful, sparkly, you guys know me. I love anything
Yep.
that glitters.
Mhm.
But it catches the light in this really magical way, and like I can feel like my intuition has been really spot on and like a lot of stuff like that. Whereas the Labradorite, I feel like, is a more like definitely magical but protective magic stone, and then like moonstone's a little more like open about it. So trying to change
Mm.
up like those daily practices and like the self-care, like Miss K was talking about aspect.
Mm. Absolutely. Are you like bullet journaling or not quite?
Not really. I'm trying
Okay.
to not. I am just ADD enough that I need to write like a vague to-do list. But like, okay, so the inspiration behind this, I was listening to another podcast about like the thing that you're supposed to do or be or whatever in your life. Go back to who you were when you were 8. Right.
Mhm.
And that is a very refined down version of what this person very eloquently put. And I was thinking about being in school and like remember when you had like your little like homework agenda, but like the
Mhm.
cool thing to do was get your markers and decorate it and like
Fuck
maybe
yes.
so
Mhm.
this is like my
Mhm.
life agenda, and it's actually been pretty dope. I really because it's
Oh,
got
I
like a
love
big like
it.
month calendar, like a little day. It's the size of like an actual sheet of paper, which I was like dicking around
Yes.
with these little tiny journals, and I'm like, I can't fit anything. So I got like a real paper size, and it's been dope. It's been really good because I'm also someone, I'm very out of sight, out of mind, and the weeks run into each other so often. So
Mm.
in a very muggle sense, I've just been like writing down the things that I do every day. Like some days it's just I go to work, but other days I've realized I paint my nails every week with a lot of religiousness. So like that's something
Mm.
that's a new self-care routine, or like go and get sushi with a friend. Like I bought a car today, like stuff like that,
Woo!
I don't want to let those moments roll by. I know those are all very like muggle things, but I think sometimes without that foundation, it's hard to be magical because like we still live in this
In
stupid
this
practical
body.
capitalist world.
We do. We do. That's very much true.
But
I know
you
that was a huge ramble.
but you got that car, for example, through your magic. You manifested.
Yes.
You
Mm.
manifested that
Mhm.
bitch.
As so
Mhm.
many things in my life, so many things that I could rattle off. Like I have it's all started. Becky, we were talking earlier about some stuff, and all of that starts with a conversation just like this sometimes.
Mm.
Right.
Ashe.
And
Ashe.
that is so fucking magical. That is so
Right.
fucking magical.
Mhm. 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 Juicy.
We love a juicy ramble.
We do. We do. It's
Now
making
somebody else
me.
gets to ramble. Oh, good.
I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say just real quick, you said, we were talking about magic and manifesting. Whenever I was up on stage at the information day last week, I was answering questions, and they were just asking questions about heathenry and magical practices and things like that. And they were asking about how I practice, for example. There were 4 of us on stage, and I said, above everything else, I consider myself a magical practitioner. I practice magic in my everyday life, and that is how I connect to my spirituality.
Hell, that's how I connect to my muggalality.
Right.
Shit.
But rather than be like bogged down with saying, oh, I'm an eclectic pagan, or I'm a witch, or I'm a heathen, or I'm a druid, like I am a magical practitioner. That is
I
how I
have to-
identify, because that is what I do and who I am.
Yes. Us, not that we have coined that term, but I feel like we have certainly put a lot of push behind it. I have to really agree. Like, I still feel some ish about the word witch and all of that, but like magical practitioner is something that just it's just specific enough, but like it's also just vague enough for what I actually do. you know?
Mhm. Mhm. I agree. If anything resonates, it's that. It's
Yeah.
absolutely that. I love that.
Mm.
Mm.
Has that changed how y'all do magic? Realizing that? It's changed for me.
Mhm.
I feel less pressure.
Hmm. I hmm. Maybe not. Maybe not because I am a curious person and I'm gonna figure out how to do the thing. Or I don't I think more maybe it does. It helps me not feel like I need to justify anything to other people.
Hmm.
I don't need
I
to
like
say
that.
like, "Oh yeah, I'm here," or "I do this." I think that's something that I've been struggling with a lot as a Black practitioner, like feeling and seeing so many people who also are Black practitioners and they're reclaiming these different indigenous and ancestral practices, and I have not, only in one respect. Um, and like wanting to be a part of the greater is really something that I yearn for, but also there's this freedom of knowing that, I'm still connected. I just may not be initiated. I may not know all of the rites, rituals, and routines and laws. But at the end of the day, like I'm still guided, I'm still connected. And like that's
Mhm.
what matters the most.
Yeah, it's still who you are.
Exactly.
Mhm, mhm.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, that was a good question.
I didn't
Yeah.
realize, I guess, as much until we started talking about it, how much that I just do
Hmm.
in my, magical practices, like when we were talking before we started recording about having feelings of not being safe, I'm
Mm.
looking around and I'm putting up an energetic shield around me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just something that I'm just doing. I'm not like thinking, oh, I'm going to do magic now.
Mm.
I'm like putting it
Yeah.
out, I stop for a second and I have my palms facing out. I may close my eyes if it's safe enough to do so, or I can do it with my eyes open. I imagine a cloak basically just going over my head and my body, and I envision that no one around me can see me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Everyday magic
Yeah.
is the thing. And it's almost hard for me to imagine a life not this way. And I know that's probably how I was living before. Uh BM, that's a bad one. But before magic. But it really is. It's hard to imagine like what that life is like. But even now that I'm thinking about it, my grandmama is somebody who will pray over everything, and
Mhm.
she'll sing and like just put her little blessings just in her whatever she's doing. And I never realized how magical that was until like this
Yeah.
moment. I'm just connecting the dots. I
Yeah.
love her.
Oh, we love grandmas. They're the
We
best.
do. We
Yes.
do.
The best.
Yeah, but that
Oh,
was the way that she connects to her spirituality.
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And even if like me and her may not agree on some things, the fact that
Mhm.
she has something that makes her feel safe and
Mhm.
connected and aligned, like that's all I want for people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm, mm, mm.
Totally get down with that.
I
Mhm.
can. That gives me a lot. That's just, I'm very pensive now thinking, you guys
Mm.
always make me think. And that, I'm
Well,
very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for that. Like we've said 1,000 times over, will definitely, a community is important.
it
Mhm.
is.
Community is important, no matter where it is or who it is or how many it is. Community is important.
Mhm.
Is there anything else that y'all want to touch on? Tell the people we're got about 10 Z's minutes left.
I do have a request.
Yes.
Whoever has a tarot deck in front of them, will you pull a card for us?
Okay.
I knew
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Since you were talking about crows, then we'll pull from the
Yes.
Urban Crow Oracle. But before I do that, I have to tell you the card I pulled while we were signing on. And this is from
Yes.
the Sacred Rebels Oracle. And this card says, "What is already with you?" And it has hands that are open and there are butterflies flying out of the hands.
Ugh.
And for
Mm.
me looking at this, it means that what I'm seeking for, like what I'm seeking, is already within me.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm. Yeah.
That I have
Receive
I
that.
have the answers that I need. I just need to listen.
Mm.
Mm.
Right? Right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. My
Mhm.
same teacher and friend that we were talking with about she was talking about that a day, or not a day of, but like a morning of silence. And that, since I have done that, my ears are like a little extra sensitive to loud things. So
Mhm.
I'm going to try to be quiet and not have the TV on in the background and stuff as much, so that I too may hear when they start talking.
Yes.
Ashe.
So the crows say, teamwork.
Yes.
And I'll send
Yes.
you a photo of it, but basically it's a murder of crows that are following a red-tailed hawk.
Oh my God, stop.
Stop, you,
Stop.
Becky. No,
Mhm.
stop. Okay, so we're talking about
Wait,
signs
wait,
earlier,
Yeah.
right? Like, do you know how many red-tailed hawks I have seen in the last 2 weeks alone?
Actually, we have two.
Wow.
We saw 3 last weekend. I just thought about that. Adam was like, what the
Wow.
hell? We don't normally see them this close.
There is
Yes.
an entire red-tailed hawk nest, like right.
Yes.
I can see it from my back window. Like, yeah. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
So
I'm
what is
sending
this
you the
teamwork card?
picture, and
Nice.
so like I said, the crows are following the hawk, and in the background there are a bunch of clouds, and then underneath of them it looks like poppies, like different flowers, and then in the background a river, and then the city on the other side. So obviously I think that they are working together to achieve a common goal. But in this deck, there's like a little booklet, and there are sometimes stories about, what the author was thinking whenever they drew it. And so this one says, crows have mastered teamwork. Mobbing is one example of how crows work together on a common goal. When an intruder or a predator enters their territory, the birds jump into orchestrated action. Each member of the group holds an advantageous position in flying off the threat. Call upon your team, your family, or friends to assist you when facing a challenge that requires more than you can comfortably handle. Teamwork strengthens bonds, creates positive memories, and reinforces an awareness that you are not alone. Of course.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm so dumb. I didn't even think of this. Today, literally today, I was walking Hollow and I look up into the sky and there's a bunch of crows just going wild. And I'm like, what are they doing? And they're doing exactly this towards a vulture. Are you kidding me?
I actually saw the crows across
wow.
the street doing that this morning to a cat.
Wow.
I walk out the door and they're all like screaming, like,
oh my
"Ah,
gosh.
ah,
Yeah.
ah," like back and forth. And
Exactly.
I'm like, what? Like, I literally just stop and I'm like, what? Because they were clearly mad about something.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden I
Mhm.
seen a little cat like running off, this little black cat. I was like, oh, you done fucked with the crows. You better run away.
You are exactly.
You better run.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Okay.
obviously the sense of community, but the other thing that I'm
Mhm.
getting is that how we've been talking about like burnout and illness and things like that. I think the message is to remember that we have others that we can call on when we need help.
Mhm.
We don't have to do this alone.
No.
Community care.
Yes.
Which is so important because I mean, Becky, you were running a full campaign based off of that to help a friend
Mm-hmm.
and her
Mhm.
family. So yeah. Message
Well, and like
received.
it
Right.
is, and that's certainly a word even for this podcast. I was thinking about that because we've all, the three of us have kind of missed schedules. Like the three of us haven't really been able to sit down together alone, or even with it's been. I'm looking back through. I think the last time the three of us interviewed somebody was Lori. That was at the beginning of
Mm.
October, and that
The
was like
Death
a
Witch.
rando
Wow,
day
yeah.
in the middle of the week. But like we've been really good, I feel like, about balancing this in our personal lives, because like we love doing this, and like I certainly have no intention of stopping, but like I am also, like we've talked about, living the muggle struggle, and like life
Yep.
gets in the way sometimes. So a good message for us too, that it is good that there's three of us here, that we can still, even if it's not all three of us, we're gonna still keep coming at you people.
Right.
True.
That we can
True.
all help carry the load, together.
Totally.
Mhm.
That was definitely the thought process behind inviting you ladies on, was that at first I wanted to be selfish and take the brunt of the work, but then there was that little voice in the back of my head going, "You're gonna need help." And I have, and y'all have been a huge help. I love y'all.
We love you.
We love you.
Yay! Well, we're coming up on just about an hour now, and it has been wonderful to chat. We've got some really cool people that we're going to be chatting with. We've got a witchy
Yes.
therapist. We've got a few shop owners. We've got I'm pretty sure she is a neurobiologist, has a PhD, and is like an actual, maybe not brain surgeon, but she's definitely a brain doctor, but like also
Damn.
has like witchy vibes. I've only just barely started talking with her about getting her on here, but like we've got some dope ass people coming on. We're going to probably have plenty of more little chats like this where we just ramble on delightfully about our lives and what's been going on magically and otherwise. I really hope that all of you have been taking care of yourselves, still taking care of others, and still being nice, because it goes a very, very long way, even though people suck sometimes. But on that note, my lovelies, stay magical, people.
Stay magical.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Magical Aspirations. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Magical Aspirations to keep up with the latest and the greatest from Annalisa, Adriana, and Reverend Raven, and to join in on the Magical Aspirations conversations. Come check out our website, magicalaspirations.com, to find bonuses from our guests, our Magical Aspirations blog, and to reach out to our magical hosts with questions, comments, reviews, or ideas for future episodes. We are so grateful for each and every one of you listening. Thank you again, and as always, stay true to your magic.